You know, also I've seen patterns within these elite people, most people that have any kind of money whatsoever, and your lack of love. We are a male-dominated world, and um, it appears like this male dominance is influencing our human experience. And if you're lacking love and you are trying to get love through sex and not attach any actual love to it, um, that is why our whole economic system has attached sex to every product. Sex sells. Why? Because we are all lacking love. Every one of us are lacking love. And I've seen that we've transformed women into being the sex slaves for men. You know, it's the tits, the ass, make us look as pretty as possible. And we are only there to serve men sexually because they're lacking love. Where um, women are also dealing with the same problem. Um, you're easily transformed into what is being told to you, that if that's all you are is a sex slave, if that's the only way that you will get ahead in life, then you will go for that plastic surgery, you will go for the bigger boobs, you will be what a male wants of you because you're lacking love as well. Um, so, I mean, if anybody wants to look at an overpopulation problem, you really, really have to look at, we have been reprogramming everybody our lack of love experience. And we're searching for love, but we don't know how to get it. We don't know the meaning of what love really is. And we've highly attached it to sex. And, you know, anybody that's having sex without love, you will create more life. Um, you will think, not only will you change who you are, I mean, it's almost like you are not seeing the real person. You want to see the beauty in the physical, but not beauty from within. Um, so a male is only going to be attracted to things that can sexually stimulate them. So women have been transformed into being that stimulation. Because women want to be accepted. Women are lacking love. Women are desperate to find that loving guy. And we need to be what it is that they want us to be. So, you know, all of these commercials that are using women to sell products, um, you will turn into that because that's the only way that you'll be accepted by a guy is um, by being that sexual object. That somehow you will get acceptance through that. But um, that's why the divorce rate will always be big, is because you'll get married for the wrong reasons. You'll get married for that illusion of what that person is. You will have sex for the wrong reasons, which will feel horrible. And while it feels horrible, you'll fight about a whole pile of other things that are unrelated, but you won't know why. And it is always, always, always going to be based down to this lack of love experience that we're all having on this planet. We don't know how to love ourselves, and we don't know how to love each other. And we will develop an economic system based on that lack of love, which makes human life destroyers. It will be reflected in everything that we consume. Um, that's why we've got wars. Because war is a way of making money, and dominating another person is how we make money, um, and then we wonder why our world is falling apart. And it is so much a reflection of what's inside of us. Now, I'll move on towards what type of person my mother was, who definitely was lacking love, who definitely was into horoscopes, Horoscopes was the study of the outer world. It's almost like my mother's trying to find the meaning of life in the outer world. My father was looking for love in the outer world of stuff, the immediate world on this planet. My mother was kind of going outside the planet into the universal world and trying to find answers there. And it actually brought more peace to my life, brought more understanding, to understand that more universal perspective than it did that immediate perspective. But ultimately, both of them, the repeat of the pattern was because they were always looking outside of themselves for the answers instead of going inside themselves. Ironically, after my many years of study, I ended up finding out that the outer world is a reflection of self. This mantra bot again answers so many questions, especially because I was trying to break out of this abusive cycle. And you have to see where you are in order to jump out of that cycle. And I ended up finding out that the planets and the stars and everything that's out in that universal world is a reflection of what's inside all of us, all of humanity. It's more of the humanity mirror out there. So it's like anybody that wants to discover outer space, it's like you're kind of going insane, because you should be discovering inner space, what's inside you, because as soon as you change what's inside you, you change what's outside in that outer world, because it's only a reflection, it's a mirror. That's why you can kind of predict where you are in your life, where the stars are, where the planets are, and how it can predict your future, because it's a reflection of who you are, and it's the same patterns. Because it's a global perspective, you can see the same patterns within many different people. It's more generalized, where in the smallness of our experience, looking at the external world, here looking for happiness, here seeing who you are, is going to be in your stuff. The bigger your bank account, the more lack of love you have in your life. The more cars you have, the bigger the house you have in comparison to another, is an example of how much lack of love you have. The person that has the least amount of stuff is also a person that's lacking love as well. You're so busy giving that you don't know how to receive, and those that have too much know only to receive and not know how to give. They're both the same coin, but they're just different sides of the coin. We want to actually change the coin that we're using, but you can't do that if you're, the same coin, but you can't see it. But one is going to be the opposite of another. That when you merge the two together, when we know how to send and receive love, then you jump out of that pattern. When you merge evil with good, then you transform yourself into something completely different. But ultimately, that's where my mother was more of a giver. She was a people pleaser. Her lessons were mostly accept and allow. So she provided no answers for me. Ultimately, she ended up developing Alzheimer's. It was almost like the abuse was so bad, I just need to forget it. She's stuck on happy now. My father was the controller, so she's just fallen into, okay, I've lost my mind, now you can control my life completely, because I can't control myself at all. She's developed her own Alzheimer's disease. From the time I was really young, in order for my mother not to get into trouble or not to get held from my father for not being perfect, she would always say, I can't remember. So it's ironic that in her later years, she has Alzheimer's. She can't remember a damn thing now. I don't have to be responsible for my life at all. She went with the flow so far deep that now my father has to be in total control of her life. Every single aspect of her life, my father now has to care for. He's now got that responsibility of not only living his life, but in total control of my mother's life. Pretty sure that's hell for him. He now probably feels, And my father's life is he has to be the caregiver. Well, now you're the caregiver in a big way. How's it feeling? That you create your own hell. And both were because my father was too much of a taker. He wanted everybody to serve him, and he didn't know how to serve anybody else, as he thought that he was so highly pressured to serve everybody by giving them money and trying to pressure them into getting money by telling them they're no good. My mother was more of the giver and didn't know how to demand to receive. So they both, in the bigger end of the world, at the end of their lives, they're both dying because they're lacking love. And it is the sending and receiving of love. If they don't have that, they are going to create the illnesses that will end up killing them. So to a greater extent, I am the both evils of my parents. For the most of my life, though, I played my mother's role of being a people pleaser. As long as I'm giving love to everybody else, life should be good. But then it just recreated the abuse. And, I have this voice, but nobody wants to listen to it. And nobody wants to be respecting of my voice because I don't know how to demand how you give to me. I'm so busy giving that I don't know how to receive. Ironically, and I'm probably writing this book will probably show me my own insanity, but it's just something to reflect on, that as soon as I start loving myself, my contradictions will all be gone away. As soon as I love my body enough, my smoking addiction will go away. At the end of the day, you have to learn how to love yourself without any stuff, without anybody giving you anything, but just love yourself because of who you are. You're a human being. You're amazing, with or without stuff. And put love out, but also know how to receive love. Clearly I suck at that still, working on it. I am receiving some love through having this YouTube channel. I need to develop more of that love, that heavy programming that I'm worthless, useless. I have so many haters out there that I know I'm attracting because I'm lacking love within myself. Whatever it is that I'm putting out into the world, whatever I'm giving and serving and even writing this book is thinking that in some way, shape, or form is the universal world. If all other humans learned how to love themselves and learned how to love everybody else, then somehow that'll magically make me love myself a lot better. And that's like such a crock. I need to learn how to love myself. And no limits. And no, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Just do what I know I need to do. Live my purpose. I know there are things that are within my... I know I have an inner voice that I'm not even listening to, which is exercise more, go for nature walks. I promised myself that I wouldn't write any of this book unless I no longer smoked, if I worked out, went for a walk in nature before I ever started doing all this. Did I do that? No. And why? Because I clearly am not loving myself enough yet. So there is my own contradiction. Can you see yours? By the time I finish this book, you should see that once you love yourself, even the aging process can be reversed. I probably started this book by showing you how I am not loving myself, writing this out, seeing my own contradictions, and following my own advice. And probably by the end of me telling my story, I'll look a little bit younger than what I am. I'll look a little bit better than what I am. It's not about that you have to be this image, this beautiful person, this physical being that attracts other people. It's a matter of, do you love yourself? You know, do you want to look good just for yourself? What does your human body need to look like if it was healthy? Peace out.